I should be. Good Lord, what is happening in there?
Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
Seymour! The house is on fire!
There was some recent news about Unity to cause them to be headliners in the news.
It will impact my studio. It will impact a lot of game developers that make games that you play. This is pretty crazy.
Oh, and by the way, what the outcome of this is going to be is that you're going to have to buy more microtransactions in games. And games will be more monetized. It's either that, or the game is going to be smaller in scope and you're going to get less content.
So there's something about the cost to the developer with Unity Engine.
This is going to be pushed towards the consumer.
For a long time, we devs have been feeling more and more, I would say, betrayed and ignored by the engine maker Unity. In a world where you look at Unreal Engine and see the march of progress, while Unity's technical people do great things, we do see them off chasing other industries and making business moves that are particularly worrisome. In fact, almost a year to the day, I launched a video in this channel about another wave of developers essentially having a bit of a rebellion. Today, though, it's an even more crazy situation. And I want to start setting the tone today with a quote from former Electronic Arts executive John Riccitiello, who is currently the CEO of Unity. He explained the
sold his shares, by the way, a week before this happened.
By saying this: you're 6 hours into Battlefield, you run out of money, we now charge you $1 to reload, and you're far enough in that that's going to be something that you feel okay about. So he actually did.
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, and that's a good point, what he's making. Like, and again, that's smart.
$1 to reload.
Vested into the game, then they can start nickel and diming you and charging you, because it will cost you more to get out than to just pay the fee.
It's always about the sunk cost fallacy with these games nowadays. I hate it. They take advantage of people psychologically.
Point is, that's the kind of analogy he used. That's the sort of thinking that is going on. Recently he said this: if you're a 7-figure developer, you can afford $75 a month. True, but if you're not, you can just get started, or choose for an artistic reason to give your games away for free. Or if you're a hobbyist screwing around or a student, this is free. You get the full power of Unity 5 for free. There's no royalties, no fucking around. It's simple. That's really what we're announcing.
Good for them.
Things have somewhat changed since then,
it seems that way.
Because only a weekend after Unity highlighted the performance of Sea of Stars, a game that's on Game Pass, getting humongous amounts of downloads and has separately sold over 250,000 copies, they have managed to, single-handedly create an insane drama for themselves and actually worry developers. And this all started...
Well, I think that it's reasonable for developers to be worried, right? Because, like, whenever you realize that you're building a castle on sand and they can just change the agreement like Darth Vader, well, then what the fuck? How can you possibly, in good conscience...
Pray I don't alter the deal any further. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I want to make games aspirationally, and I kept having this like back and forth. Do I want to try and learn Unreal Engine 5, or do I want to try and learn Unity? And people say Unity is really streamlined, especially if you're an individual, don't have a team to work with. But damn, this sounds really problematic for the average developer out there.
Big showcase. I wonder if they were trying to bury that news in tech circles. The title is Unity Plan Pricing and Packaging Updates. Pretty, you know, simple name for something that's going to generate a lot of rage, because this is a update to Unity's licensing plans, designed, of course, to get more money out of users. Now, in this, there are some more minor elements. As an example, they are removing the Unity Plus service tier, which was a smaller scale one used by smaller indie developers and perhaps, you know, some solo devs, right? It's replaced by the much more expensive Unity Pro. And while that may have a bit of a sting for some, where things get get a lot more spicy is this. We're introducing a Unity runtime fee that is based on each time a qualifying game is downloaded by an end user.
Yep.
We choose this because each time a game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also installed. They're basically saying, right, we're two products, the Unity editor, the Unity runtime. You'll have your Unity subscription that will, you know, pay for however many seats you have that have access to the Unity editor, and then we will charge you based on how many times the Unity runtime is distributed, which of course means any time your games are, like, downloaded, right?
Well, yeah, they affect
Even if people don't play them.
that tells them that there's been a download of this game. And they just want everybody to trust them that they have correct and enough fraud protection to know whenever a game is downloaded twice. You see what I'm saying? Like, how can you possibly trust them for this?
And they say this because, yes, each time a game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also installed. Also, we believe that an initial install-based fee allows creators to keep the ongoing financial gains from player engagement, unlike a revenue share. Now, how does this work? Well, you have to pass a revenue threshold to be eligible. At the Free and Plus tier, that revenue threshold is $200,000, and it's $1 million for the Pro and Enterprise tiers.
And you think about
I think I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw someone say, oh, it's only $1 million, so most developers aren't going to be affected by this. But people who are using the lower tier, it's only 200 grand, and you start nickel and diming them. So they're going to have to forward those costs onto the consumer and charge more for the game, which might affect their sales. That's brutal, dude.
$1,000 might sound like a lot of money, but whenever you actually start aggregating it and breaking it down for like what this money is going to go towards,
even if you don't calculate all of the necessary expenses that go into the development of the game, let's just talk about salary for devs. Let's say you have 4 devs, each of them, without paying any of their expenses, are making 50 grand without having to pay tax first. Like before tax, 50 grand for 4 devs, like that's brutal. That's so bad.
99% of people that it won't really affect, because probably 90% of people or 50% of people just download Unity because they're like trying it out. They're not genuinely using the product in order to make a video game for a commercial purpose.
Yeah, it's a huge detractor.
Fantastic. Here's the thing, though. What if your game costs 250 grand to make, right? And maybe you got a publisher. That would mean that you will have, say, sold 200 grand.
A lot of publisher agreements. I've even heard publisher agreements
that
are even beyond 50%. So, like a developer, signs a deal with a publisher, and the publisher takes over 50% of their revenue.
Yeah.
Massive.
So basically every dev becomes a minimum wage worker, and it'd be more profitable to go flip burgers.
Yes, I know. It's crazy.
Worth of copies
you
will
usually
have not made back.
Big
you won't have
publisher,
made
something
back
like that
money.
could be more.
And the bill for this sort of thing will come due, right? This will come due in a pretty damn bad time for you, because you've now got to work out, okay, how is my studio being funded? I'm not seeing revenue from the game that, we released that just came out. And it's very rare. Let's say a game's budget is $250,000. It's pretty damn rare that a game is able to cover its production budget in like, a month or two, right?
Yeah.
So this may seem kind of like not that big, but
it's very big.
That's actually a really bad time to have the bill. Also, interest.
That's actually a very good point that he brings up, is like, having to pay that very early on whenever you're also not able to pay other costs.
Your first $1 million, you're just trying to figure it out and allocate all your expenses, and then you get absolutely drained.
That first, because then if you don't, well, then you don't have the game that's making the money in the first place. So like, asking for that so early on, it's actually very harmful. Now that I think about it.
Let alone first $1 million, first 200 grand.
Charged to the developer? What about the publisher? Because it's rev share everywhere, but then, the developer doesn't pay based on rev share. The developer gets to pay on a per install basis, which, oh boy, there's more. There's wrinkles to that. Now, then you have to pass an installation threshold on a lifetime scale to be eligible, which is 200,000 at the Free and Plus tier and 1 million at the Pro and Enterprise tier. Then fees are structured to basically allow for some.
I think also like a lot of game development for indie developers is based off of a dream, and I think this is the dream.
They're passion projects. They're not holding out for like it to be a massive hit. They just want to make a good game that some people are going to enjoy. If it's very successful, great. But now Unity's going to step in, and every install, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
And so this is actually kind of comparable to like streaming to an extent, is that if people feel like they can't really achieve a dream of like being like very successful like streaming because there's like a massive cap on it, it's going to really hurt people's enthusiasm to get invested into it, because they're going to realize that there's never
completely disincentivized from even approaching it. Like, my initial thought upon hearing this news is I don't want to develop with the Unity engine because I'm limited as to my potential.
As Unity said, and I think they're right,
I'm scared of
developers
success.
Never even are going to hit this threshold anyway. But the problem is that saying that there is a threshold means that there can't be a dream. Does that make sense?
This update creates a fear of
You
success.
can't have hope whenever you have like this ceiling that's so low, and if you develop and you do a great game, you do so well, then you're going to have to pay them such a huge amount of money. Installment costs, even from pirated copies and bots that would uninstall on a virtual machine that changes IP. You pay it once and can generate Unity, so much fake profit. Yes.
I also think about potential malicious intent. What if someone doesn't like you but knows you're developing a game, and so they just get some bot service, or maybe they're a good botter themselves, and they go over and they do a bunch of downloads of your game so that you get milked and then you can't pay your expenses. This is so bad.
From 15 cents to 2 cents per install for each more than 1 million installs per month at the Pro and Enterprise level, with a special caveat that if your game is installed in an emerging market, there will be a significantly lower flat rate. That's of course because a lot of mobile games are big in low revenue per user regions, at least say on a US dollar basis. And then you can get some credits for the fee if you integrate more of Unity's technologies beyond the editor, like say their gaming services or their mobile ad.
What is this, like insurance companies? Oh, if you bundle all of your insurances together, we'll give you a discount. Come on, dude. So malicious.
Unreal Engine, their toolset is free, but the understanding is that if you make a big old box game with it, then you have the first million be royalty free, and anything past that, they take 5%. And of course, because that's based on revenue and it's going up to a fairly high number there.
Well, it's a percentage base too. I think that 5% is like, I personally am not a big fan of, I think if somebody buys a program, they should be entitled to 100% of the profits that they generate with that program, because they bought the program. Like, I don't like all of this licensing, like, pyramid scheme type bullshit. I think that it's unhealthy for society. But, I mean, Unreal is free, though. I thought that there was, like, a dev version of Unreal that you pay for. Is that true?
No, it's free.
Not anymore. No, it's free? Okay, I'll just assume I'm wrong.
I think the idea is, hey, you make money.
Because I've signed up for an Unreal Engine course before, and I'm able to download the tools for free through Epic.
What would happen if Adobe started charging for every video you upload and take some of the ad revenue? Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
that would be terrible.
I don't like...
That's why I use free-to-use editing tools. Open source. Hell yeah. Just save a lot, because sometimes it crashes.
People should be entitled to the profit that they generate with that product. It's like if I go to like Home Depot and I buy something like a lawnmower and I mow somebody's lawn, I shouldn't have to pay the people that make the lawnmower $1. I bought the lawnmower. I should have every right to use it however I want.
Also a bit of a new question, at which point developers and the general audience then really found it become rapidly clear that this is one of the more poorly thought out deals for game developers that really many of us have seen in a very, very, very long time. And they put out a Q&A. The Q&A is quite bizarre. So, the Unity runtime fee does not apply to our film, gambling, or education subscription plans at...
Because we have to exempt the important things, you know? We got to let our film, our education, and our gambling, not have to deal with this.
Given month. And the installations are just defined as installation and initialization of a project on an end device. Now, this is the big thing. There's some good, there's some bad.
And this is what people are concerned about, is that somebody can intentionally install a game, like a group of people can hate install a game.
Right.
And then cost the developer a bunch of money.
Right. That's what I was saying earlier. You could just bot this. You don't like a certain dev, it could be a competitive development studio at an indie-sized level. You could just invest to undermine and screw over the other developer by botting a bunch of installs and making them pay a bill they can't afford.
So, the more people who install your game, especially on the perhaps razor-thin margins that you'd planned before any of this became apparent, the more money you then have to pay Unity.
The one thing I think about is if you make a game that you want to distribute, you can no longer do the free to play microtransaction model as a result of this, because of the potential that people will install your game and undermine you. You have to charge up front, probably at a rate where no one's going to take your game.
Wolfart, funny Twitter account, many good funny things. Pirate game, delete it, download it again. Keep on doing it. Company loses $600.
Right.
Fuck them, dude.
Of course it's a 4chan
Fantastic.
post.
So, let's talk about the problems that developers and community members have highlighted, and then Unity's attempts to squirm their way out of this, because there is quite a large amount of trust me bro in this. Okay, let's start with some problems. Hello, Unity. How are installs tracked or monitored? How is revenue determined? Do pirated installs count? And how would that be determined?
Well, they're not going to say how. And it's like, I understand why Unity wouldn't say how. Because if they say how, they also say how they're not tracked.
Yeah, and people will exploit. Do not say how. Just fix this, because this is terrible for game development.
Not going to say this. But again, how can you possibly trust them, especially whenever they're making such a massive change?
Aside from other issues that many people have raised, are we going to see more games delisted to avoid incurring additional costs?
Right.
There are so many thoughts here. I mean, make a game. Game is freemium.
Freemium,
makes
exactly.
$200,000 from in-app purchases after being installed 3 million times. Now owe Unity 20 cents per 2.8 million installs. 560 grand. That's 360 grand more than we've made. Yeah, this is one that is quite funny with the,
I just can't believe that.
It's a totally brainless model. It shows no in-touch thought about what the industry is and what the current design model is for gaming. Because a lot of games are free to play and they come with transactions inside so that you can play the game and enjoy it, and then you can maybe buy some cosmetics because you're like, okay, this person made a good game, I'd like to support them by buying some in-game purchases. But you can't do that now, because a lot of people are against in-game purchases even if they enjoy the game, and the install is going to cost the developer. So they're going to have to forward the cost onto the consumer. They're probably going to have to charge for the game up front before you can even play it, and people aren't going to install the game. So it's like there's a no-win scenario where, oh, I either give away my game and potentially get maliciously extorted by Unity by paying for each install, or I charge money for my game up front and nobody buys my game.
I mean, Windows does updates? Yeah, what do you mean? There's updates, bro, for people who can't pay up front? Yeah, Windows does updates.
With the freemium mobile model. Also, publishers are talking about things. So, Devolver Digital, you may have heard of them. Definitely include what engine you're using in game pitches. It's important information. What a well-timed post from them. Because you've got to remember with all this stuff, you sell your game. Valve takes 30%. Then that split between...
I love seeing people defending getting cucked. It's so bad. Like, I can't believe that people are okay with companies setting these completely draconian rules where they just own a percentage of everything that you create with their product that you paid for.
Nobody would use it if they knew you were going to do that.
And market unfriendly, it's insane.
If people could see into the future and knew you were going to do this, they would never have developed in Unity engine. you're going to force a lot of people to try and migrate their games over to other engines or just shut down their game and move on to something else.
Developer Aggro Crab pointed out that if you put your game onto Game Pass, that's potentially millions of installs that you could potentially be asked to pay a licensing for and a licensing fee for. And well, while it may not be you, actually, as it transpires, Unity have a response to this, and I don't think the industry is going to be particularly pleased by it. I mean, hey, what about giving access of your game to people for free for a free weekend? Maybe
even demos cost money. Even demos.
The Epic Games Store.
You still need the Unity runtime.
That could now cost you money. For Over the Moon Games, they've said here, hey Unity, our game The Fall was on Epic Games as a free game. I was quite happy to sell them the rights for peanuts, and the game was installed like 7 million times. How do you propose this will work? I'd owe you more money than I've made in my life. That's insane. Again, what are Unity thinking? Then, of course,
they're not thinking. It's completely out of touch.
Abandoning the engine, you know, they're saying like, all right, you know what, screw it.
They're sitting in their suits in a boardroom, making calculations that they can't account for based on a very small sample size where they think that this is a well-informed decision, and it's not.
All to an engine with less hostile practices, because yes, be it...
yeah, that's obviously what they should do.
And that's the really unfortunate statement. Keywords there, less hostile business practices, because I can't think of an option where you're not dealing with at least some modicum of hostility. You know, I wanted to be a game developer so bad as a kid, and as things progress in the industry, I'm less incentivized. I'm scared to think about working for one of these big companies where it's not about gaming anymore.
Simply allowing it to exist on their platform. Like that's fucking massive. 30% to a certain amount, then it scales down to 20 as more sales are made. Really? I didn't know that. Well, at least that's a bit better. 30%, but it gives you about 10,000% more customers. Yeah, I understand that. And that's why people still upload on the Steam.
Yeah, it's a volume thing. You get the exposure.
Epic Games takes like a much smaller percentage. That's why I think it's very important that you have competition in the space. And that's why I've always been very negative about people that were just like any time that any other studio tries to make a launcher, they get shit on because they're not Steam. Absolutely not. That's bullshit. Like a monopoly is not good for the consumer.
Because you get rinsed for your money.
There are other engines out there, and people are potentially quite interested in moving now. I would bet
when you think about Steam sales and things like that, when there's these steep discounts of the game, who do you think gets the majority of the money during those sales? Like, those hurt devs. When you think about those splits, they're making, like the other developer said, peanuts.
Buy Cult of Lamb now, because we're delisting it January 1st. That's certainly fun. Others have pointed out the potential for harassment here. Like, yeah, you could pirate a game, install it to 500 virtual machines, and you've potentially hurt a game developer. People may say that's insane, but like...
It's not insane at all. People do all kinds of crazy stuff. And also, I would assume that the tool to do that would be usable for any game, because it's just simply replacing the executable file that you're installing to each machine to being a different file for each different game. Like, you don't even need to write new code for each different thing. You just need to input the game into the code. So it's like, as soon as one person does this, it's just possible for anything.
People are technologically proficient. They can do spooky shit with virtual machines, right? Of course, Game Maker, Default Engine, Godot, and even Tim Sweeney have chimed in on all of this. Epic saying that they've got no plans to change their perpetual license model, right? And they're going to do it so that like they can't change the deal that they've made with you when you sign on. Just a whole bunch of the whole industry just taking this as the easiest marketing win they could possibly get. There's actually some talk of a class action lawsuit coming from developers.
I don't know if they can sue Unity.
I don't think so.
There's probably all kinds of...
There's probably disclaimers in the end user license agreement that make any kind of lawsuit null and void. I'm sure there's some stipulation somewhere in the fine print.
they're offering cloud save, they offer content management, pushing new updates, ensuring the user product is a stable version. Yeah, Steam is a great service. I've been using Steam ever since I was in high school.
Yeah.
I think Steam is great. I don't have anything bad to say about Steam other than the fact that I think they take 30%. It's a lot of money, and it's also not good for an industry for there only to be one person working in
They do so much volume, they could afford to take less. I agree with that.
good company. You're right. Sure.
But ultimately, then, the point here is that Unity just decided to change the rules of things, the rules of the game, really arbitrarily, because this is almost like a new utility cost. The way that you've got to pay, or at least they want to start charging you for Unity runtime deployments.
Yeah.
And again, as you'll soon see, all on a trust me bro basis. And what's being said here? I already committed to their engine for my new game, put years of work into my pipeline. I did so under a simple per-seat license I'm happy to pay. Now when I'm close to release, they spring something new on me. Not a price increase, a fundamental change in how we do business together. And that
Right.
It's a good point.
You have to change your entire business model. You can't do the freemium model anymore. It doesn't make sense. You're taking too big a risk. And you have to do this balancing act of convincing enough people your game's good enough to buy things in-game and not install too many copies. What? You want people to install your game as much as possible so that there's a healthy player base if it's a multiplayer-based game.
Let's talk about the clarifications and the regrouping. By the way, if you want to do some supporting of, a game developer, we're a game developer. Our first game, The Pale Beyond, is of course
Guys, I'm
on...
gonna play this really soon, okay? I'm gonna play it really soon.
He's been talking about playing it for a really long time.
It's gonna happen right after Genshin and Final Fantasy 14. Yeah.
Oh no.
Steam. And
Oh,
it's
no.
made in Unity, but hey, I guess if you buy it before the first of January,
I wonder how mad Bellular would be if I fucking streamed this game on January 1st.
Oh,
Until
don't.
January 1st to stream the game.
Don't,
See if they're still in
man.
Unity.
we won't be charged like, I don't know, 15 or 20 cents. But also, if you want to check out store.bellular.games, we have got our art book and all those lovely
do it on the main
things
channel,
there.
yeah.
Man, what a story. Okay,
January
so
1st,
obviously
12 a.m.
Unity did put out some press responses here. Let's go through them. Unity will only receive aggregate data from various sources, so they'll be working off estimates, not hard one-to-one numbers, because people were wondering, like, hey,
Dude.
what, does the Unity runtime phone home to give you a number? No, it doesn't. They have some proprietary method of working this out in a method with no transparency that is literally just, trust me, bro, we'll bill you accurately. So that's cool. Demos...
Yeah, we're not gonna overcharge you.
Demos apparently
trust
won't
us,
count.
We changed the rules on you randomly. So it can't get any worse, right? Yeah, there you go. It's illegal in EU. Yeah, EU is much
demos
more
will
ahead
count
of the ball
then.
and ahead of the game.
When I'm reading this second point, the demos will count because most demos are the kind where you can pay and you're dealing with the same game and it unlocks the rest of the content. This is only excluding the kind where you download the demo, uninstall the demo, install the full game. Which I don't think many games do that anymore. Maybe some indie games that are small enough, but that's an inconvenience to the consumer. You don't want that. You want it to be like, okay, pay my bill, now I can start playing the game more.
Using another platform called Godot,
man.
and there's a couple of other ones.
Oh man.
So some of these people will use Unreal, but there are closer versions to Unity than Unreal. That's my understanding. So it seems like, of course, this will, like, if Unity falls apart, which I don't think is really going to happen, but, like, theoretically, if it does happen, if Unity falls apart, it will massively increase Unreal Engine's, like, piece of the pie chart, like, massively. But it still will not be a complete monopoly.
Yeah, there are
won't
alternatives.
count, but only if they aren't the same build of a game that allows players to continue progression. So for actually quite a few demos, that's really quite bad. Early access games, they will count. As to fraudulent stuff, right? So somebody spinning up the game on a bunch of virtual machines, I don't even know how they catch that. But again, trust me, bro. They say that
they can't catch it. There's no way. Like, not even the best.
You would have to be so invasive of people's machines, and then it becomes a whole privacy issue if you're trying to enforce that.
There's no way a video game developer can. Come on.
Fraud detection stuff that they built for their ad platform. They can handle it. And they'll have a way for developers to submit their concerns. Again, presumably after the developer has been charged.
It would become a privacy issue to monitor that.
Say 30 grand, 40 grand. That's going to be very bad for their cash flow.
That's huge.
Right? Especially if it's soon after a game is launched and the money hasn't came in yet. You're just going to fire a torpedo at a developer right when they actually need that cash flow. Again, this is absolutely crazy. They also did confirm that they will be applying the threshold to the lifetime installs of the game. And also, web and streaming games built with Unity also do count because everything that runs the game is counted in some way. Now,
wait, so
I'm seeing people talk about development languages, and I'm just like, all the C# developers are going to start brushing up on their C++ for Unreal Engine.
did I miss this yesterday? Because I feel like that's a big one. That's a really big one. Is that even legal? I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out.
Now, Steve Totillo of Axios then went and got a bit more info, and there was a second round of updates from that QA about reinstalls after a sort of regrouping within Unity. Apparently, if the same game is reinstalled on the same device, it won't count, and somehow Unity can tell that. Again, very suspicious. But if a game is installed on a new device or new hardware, that counts. So, imagine this. I'm a developer, sell a game in Unity. You install that on your PC, then you install it on your Steam Deck. For some reason,
now I
the developer, am charged twice for that, even though you're doing it under one license of the game that you own.
It's completely illogical.
Bundles will be exempt
There's no
from,
thought
fees,
put into
and
this
Unity
whatsoever.
Will somehow provide a way for developers to notify Unity. Again, how's this going to actually work, you know? Subscription fees will fall upon the distributor, not the developer. So this is quite an odd one. This means that, say, Microsoft will be facing large fees for every Unity game they list on Game Pass, like, say, the smash hit Sea.
Okay, and then the distributor will forward that cost onto the developer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I mean, Microsoft is a really big, like, we were talking about how Tencent was a big company. I'm pretty sure Microsoft is bigger than Tencent. Like, Unity is really not that big. Microsoft should just buy them and change the rule. Fuck it. Pull Elon Musk. Just buy it and change the rules.
As long as the regulating bodies will allow it, though. They're already coming down on them for the Activision Blizzard acquisition.
What do I see when I go to Game Pass? Sea of Stars. Like, it's probably been downloaded millions of times. And you know, that could actually get to a stage or a state. Like, obviously the Sea of Stars devs are like, okay. But again, you know, how much money did Microsoft pay for that? And could Microsoft end up paying more in Unity license fees than the payout that was given to the developer? Right? Like, that's actually potentially a concern. And maybe that is all part of Unity's plan because they're seeing, again, via their proprietary method. Maybe they look at all of these freemium mobile games and all these like Game Pass, Epic Game, you know, free games. Maybe they see all this and just look at the sheer amount of downloads and they're trying to find a way to monetize that. I mean, it very much looks like that's the case. Now, of course, these updates, you may notice that these aren't really better because everything is somehow relying on Unity's completely undefined trust.
Yeah, exactly. Like, trust us. We have a proprietary system that will make sure that nothing goes wrong. Well, can we see it? No. Can you at least give us an idea? No.
This is like the Simpsons reference where Super Nintendo Chalmers comes to Skinner's house and they're gonna have steamed hams.
I should be. Good Lord, what is happening in there?
Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Yes.
May I see it?
No.
Seymour, the house is on fire!
May I see it? No. Oh.
Only are using aggregate data, and the end result being that the distribution of your game will inevitably end up costing you in some way, because, hey, guess what? If it costs your publisher, that's going to change the deal for you as a developer.
Yeah.
Especially because any money that something, will cost to your publisher, it's not like you pay, in your recoup, you pay it back 1-to-1. Publisher money costs money. So this is going to... The idea, it's kind of funny.
Whenever they charge the publisher charges the developer.
If a
It
publisher
trickles right
is
back
on
to the
hook for,
developer.
let's just say $100,000 of fees from something like this, the developer, in some publishing deals, that could cost the developer more than $100,000 because of how the recoups work. So again, a lot of publishing.
Let me think about that.
Yeah.
I think that's true. Yeah, it's just, oh my god.
Deals would probably need to be changed to account for
Get
something
fucked,
like
yeah.
this as a new cost in the balance sheet. And then they're also throwing publishers and distribution partners under the bus, and that means that taking deals with developers can, well, just become less lucrative, right? It's quite crazy. Like, I'm glad that we are making smaller scale PC games.
When it comes to game development, it's a capitalist world. You need capitalism because it incentivizes developers to develop and innovate and create interesting products. But you are disincentivizing that initiative by instituting things like this because it's not going to be lucrative. There's no... Why would I even want to get involved with Unity Engine if they're going to flip the rules like this? How do I know they're not going to flip the rules again? And this whole trust me bro thing definitely raises some ears about privacy. How do you know about individual devices? But you're still doing practices that might make the average privacy valuer very upset.
Apparently it might not be. They did say that some demos might be exempt, but not all of them. So basically, if the demo's successful, it's not exempt. That's what I'd probably assume.
Very happy with our wish list numbers. I think right now we have like 170,000 wish lists. But through like Steam Next Fest and all that stuff, our demo did really good work for us. And there's a chance then that actually some of those demo
This is the start of $100 games.
like some of them,
you mean $150 games,
could be charged. That would really... I mean, that would suck. So this is all kind of whack. Again, Mike Bithell here. Of course, Bithell Games, the thing that sort of propelled his career, I think a lot that people know about was, like, say, Thomas Was Alone. He's made many projects since. I keep cycling back to this tweet and how hilariously exposing it is. Given their model legally cannot be collecting real user data, it amounts to a guess. A guess they are refusing to break down to those they are hoping to bill.
We can't judge it, and we can't tell you how we try to judge it, but you can appreciate that we're not going to tell you how it works.
We leverage our own proprietary data model, so you can appreciate that we won't go into a lot of detail, but we believe it gives an accurate determination of the number of times the runtime is distributed for a given product.
And internal concerns about poor/confusing messaging, Game Pass, etc. were all ignored. It's resignation time for some folks.
Yeah,
hopefully we see a walkback, I fear, for Unity.
Let's
and,
see
just
what
a quick
happened
note-
to their stock, because yesterday...
Oh, the stocks. I'm sure it dropped.
Unity stock.
Oh, that's a deep dive.
Ooh, that's bad. Ooh, and then if you look at 5... Ooh.
And it's trending downward. Sucks to be an investor of that.
Okay, this one's worse. Oh my god. Yeah, it's actually going down. Like, that CEO getting fired? Yeah, that's huge. Oh my god.
The only reason it's trending back upward is because people are anticipating a walkback that will make the stock rebound. So people are buying low, hoping to profit off of that. But I would speculate the other way. I think there's just going to be people who are upset with the company and don't want to go back even if it is walked back. Or people who will avoid using Unity in the future just because of the outrage that's occurred as a result of this.
I see where this is going on. Well, I don't know. The CEO is ex EA CEO. Yep. The same Unity guy is the same guy who brought loot boxes to FIFA in 2009. Yep.
Wow.
Can't get demonetized for swearing, but you know, you can look at my screen and what I'm highlighting right now. This is what he called developers for pushing back against monetization. You know, all right, no. So this is something I can make no inference about certain pieces of information here. A lot of people are, you know, going quite far in saying certain things, and it would be, you know, a shame if that got them any trouble, right? Got them any sort of notice in the mail. I suppose a lot of people do find some of this information to be curious and pertinent, because on the 6th of September 2023, John Riccitiello, president of and CEO of Unity Software Incorporated, sold 2,000 shares of the company. This was part of a larger trend for the insider.
So over the past year, he's sold a total of 50,000 shares. How many total shares does he own? Because, like, is 2,000 a lot? I don't know.
That's a bad look.
It's very hard to say. Yeah, it's 0.06% of his shares. I really actually, like, originally I thought this was very telling. I think that if you contextualize it around being 0.06%,
okay,
it's not like this guy's really cashing out.
No, he's not.
It's not.
I didn't realize the fraction was that small.
Over the past year has sold a total of 50,610 shares and purchased none.
Yeah, you should have a ratio there. That's not fair to say.
Being planned long in advance, and then think about, of course, John Riccitiello's sale of shares.
Someone saying 50K over a year's a lot, though. Not if you're the CEO of Unity.
These bits of information.
Yeah, it seems as though that's not the case.
Will. Now, this all appears to be some form of top-down push from the C-suite,
50K over a year is a lot, though?
specific
Maybe,
focus on the kinds of games Unity thinks can make them the most money. It's the core thing.
No.
And look, you guys probably feel it as gamers. It's like, if you're not the whale, the developers don't care. You look at D4 and you're like, look at all that cool armor. I would maybe play the game to get that armor. Oh no, it costs $30. They're not making it for me. They're making it for the whale. Well,
right.
Unity makes it feel like that to us now. Right? And the fact that this does not apply to gambling.
It is sad that, like, it's this is kind of like an
gambling
aside,
exempt.
That, like, I can't look at, like, video game skins and be like, well, I can't wait to earn this in the game. I have to go buy it.
It's just the way it is now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, you go back and you think about, like, classic WoW. It was really cool, you know, the way you were able to do that back in the day.
Hand of Ragnaros, Thunder Fury.
Oh man, it's an interesting thing with gambling. Anyway,
cool things you could earn.
That the fact that there are credits
Wales
if
won.
you implement their proprietary advertising
Wales won,
technology,
gamers lost.
it just says absolutely everything. Look, I fully expect a walkback here. It's either they walk back and they wholesale cut it, or they walk back to a watered down version of it. In which case, they'll have made progress. And
I think it's going to be watered down. They're like, okay, this was too steep, too fast. We'll do little inch, little inch, little inch until we get to where we want it to be.
Actually is partially true.
Yeah, sunk cost. I mean, this is the same logic they use with the Battlefield bullets. Yeah. And he's right. The problem isn't that he's an asshole. The problem that he's right.
You've built your whole pipeline around using Unity. Every month costs you tens of thousands in cash flow, right? To pay for your team. And you want to spend 4, 5, 6 months of, you know, stalling some progress to redo all your stuff on Unreal Engine? That's probably going to be more expensive than these fees from Unity. So you can see they truly do have a captive audience. So that is the situation there. Of course, if you want to get something that is the making of the Pale Beyond, because this is a book, it doesn't have an activation fee. Isn't that insane? Store.bellular.
For now, bro, like, wait till they...
A lot of people are thinking, oh, just switch over to Unreal. It's not that simple. C# to C++. Potentially having to go with a different art direction. Not necessarily having access to the same assets, depending on what kind of game you are. Like, if you're a smaller game, you're probably using a lot of assets that are available, like, within their ecosystem that aren't necessarily available through Unreal Engine. So what are you supposed to do?
Well, this is a great video. I'm really glad that I watched this, and I totally support them, by the way. Like, I'll link you guys the video. Bellular has a vested interest in this. He has made a game, and he sells a game on Steam that was made by Unity. He is directly affected by this, so he understands
This is a fairly
how
major...
this will affect his bottom line, his you know, his studio, and the people that work there. This is very shitty that it's happening.
Giving him the
Obviously,
view too.
a lot of people asked me to look at this. I wanted to bring attention to it because I think how problematic this is, and huge W for Bellular talking about it. And I will be covering every update to this story as much as I can, because I think it is absolute fucking bullshit. And don't buy my game. I literally can't afford it. Isn't this just a stunt from Unity where they give us something complete and utter shit and they know it's going to get trashed on, and then they introduce something less shit? Oh, the anchoring strategy? I don't think that's a good idea for business-to-business transactions. That's only good from an end user, because an end user isn't thinking about the long-term effect of the diminished trust.
Like the GTA 6 price.
Like, because Unity is selling to other businesses. Like, consumers are stupid, but businesses aren't stupid. They remember. Yeah, trust is more important in business. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Yeah, exactly. You end up losing your contractual trust doing that business? Yeah, exactly. Turn Liberty is saved. They got a new combat system. Yeah, I saw that. I'll link you guys the video one more time. Make sure to give it a like. I'm very, very glad to see Bellular talking about this. There are a number of developers that actually contacted me, and they wanted me to talk about this myself because, you know, they know that we're involved with game development, and, you know,
draw
we play
attention
games,
to it.
You know, do this stuff a lot. I talk to developers, and this is affecting a lot of people in, like, a very serious way. And so I just hope that, you know, if Unity can't get their shit together, people can go over to another engine and use that instead.
Right.
So there it is. Do you think?
Because I would like to aspirationally get involved with game development. I was really a fan of Unity in that it seemed like they really were on the side of indie developers, but this hurts indie developers so bad. I don't want anything to do with it now. Now I think I'm just going to focus on Unreal Engine. I want to learn C and C++ anyway, so it's probably to my benefit to be working in an engine that supports the language that I'm learning. And I know eventually I could progress to C#, but that's neither here nor there. Lots of devs will have their opinions about that. In any case, that's probably it for this story. I just wanted to listen and give my takes on it, hearing it firsthand for the first time. That's unbelievable.